Perseverance Through Adversity in Education by Max Wilson. First, what is courage? Merriam-Webster says that courage is strength in the face of pain or grief. And what does this mean in education? So, GGSC, or the Greater Good Science Center of Berkeley, states that greater courage in adolescence is related to the use of more self-directed coping. Thus, in schools, the practice of courage should help students better adapt to difficult situations. So this quote is saying that in teens, courage is linked to self-directed coping and helps students adapt to adversity. Courage in education also helps students stand up for themselves. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, a government-founded organization, 1 out of every 4 students report being bullied during the school year. And it shows that we need courage to stand up to bullies so that we can have a more peaceful community. My research is connected to the stimulus Through the Tunnel by Doris Lessing. So the plot of Through the Tunnel involves 11-year-old Jerry struggling to locate and swim through a secret underwater tunnel. After spending several days locating the gap, Jerry succeeds in going through the tunnel by practicing multiple different breathing exercises. And this story shows courage through adversity, similar to how courage helps students overcome challenges. This quote shows how Jerry showed courage through adversity. He would do it. He would do it if it killed him. So in the story, he gets injured while training to go through the tunnel, but he keeps going through it. My topic also relates to another stimulus, Simone Biles and the most human meaning of courage. This article talks about Biles in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, where she dropped out due to mental health issues. In the process of this decision, Simone received tons of backlash and hate for it, and it took a lot of courage to go against expectations and make that decision. This quote shows how she had courage. In the sports landscape, courage is this idea of perceiving through adversity. It is facing fear, staring down the potential for failure. And this relates to the definition of courage, like I said earlier, and also relates to my second point, that courage helps people stand up for themselves and others. And since Biles had the courage to stand up against what's expected of her and make this decision, she helped millions of athletes have the courage to do the same thing. This leads to my research question. How does courage and perseverance in teen education shape character, navigate challenges, and promote societal progress? How does courage shape an individual? First, what is courage in a student? Going back to the Greater Good Science Center, they say, researchers consider courage to be a foundational, cross-cultural human virtue associated with key character strengths like bravery, persistence, and integrity. Although definitions of courage range, multiple studies show that courage features 3 components: intentionality, risk, and a noble goal. And this quote is saying that courage is identifying a risk and acting on it with the goal of obtaining greater good for oneself. An example of this is, after a teacher calls for volunteers to share how they solved an equation, an extremely shy student pauses, thinks, and then decides to raise his hand. Although he almost never speaks out at school, he wants to face his big fear of public speaking so that he can do better in group projects and other things in education. And this also shows that some acts of courage are more intense in someone else's views. That example might not seem that bad to you, but for him, it was a big decision. Adversity is motivating. So the National Institute of Health conducted a survey on 218 students over 2 schools to see if adversity was motivating. They say, this research revealed that adversity quotient were significant contrasts affected on student achievement and student performance. And adversity quotient is a person's ability to manage difficulties and transfer obstacles into opportunity. Puneet Bora, Managing Director and CEO at Samtel Avionics, says, motivation during adversity often springs from resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, and it's closely linked to motivation. This means that motivation during adversity comes from courage. And it's also connected to the Simone Biles stimulus, because she had to face adversity not only in her decision, but throughout her whole life as well. How does courage support individual change? Olive Green Consulting, an HR consulting firm, says, It empowers us to embrace failures, develop resilience, persist in the face of adversity, and transform setbacks into opportunity. With an unwavering belief in our abilities to succeed, those who never give up possess the potential to achieve greatness. So the main problem with my research is indifference. And indifference is defined as lack of interest, concern, or sympathy. And this means that not enough students are applying themselves. In turn, there's no adversity in the classroom, which means very little to no growth or need for courage at all. Connor M. says this about indifference. According to Benders, student apathy has been reported as being a serious issue that affects students' success by 29% of teachers. Whilst 29% is not a majority, indifference is still shown as a big issue in the world of education. One solution to this is more extracurricular activities. More extracurriculars allows for more opportunities to grow and face adversity. So implications of this solution. Penn State says, for many children, participating in extracurricular activities can positively impact their social skills, academic abilities, and physical development. However, there are some limitations. Not all students have access to extracurricular activities due to socioeconomic status or geographic location. And this is my work site.
Okay. So, Max, what information did you need that you couldn't find or locate?
So I wanted to research more on what students felt about adversity in the classroom, but I couldn't really find enough statistics on it.
Okay. And then finally, what are the implications of your findings for the community?
So my research would definitely help schools understand that putting more pressure on students would help them succeed in the classroom. Yeah.
All right, thank you.